Hi, everyone. Well, we're going to be looking at section 10.4 today, and then I'll also try to get 10.5 done as well, which would end the semester. Then you have a quiz. Well, what I'll do is, here's just a few notes on this section. Here are some terms that we need to know, and I'll explain these terms using the example here on the right. So this right here is a polynomial. The reason it's a polynomial is each of these exponents. So here we have another term here. The exponent is a 4 here, the exponent is a 2 here, and the exponent is a 1 here. Okay, if it's not there, it's a 1. In order to be a polynomial, these need to be positive integers. All right, so we cannot have a fraction here, and we cannot have a negative here. So these polynomials, these exponents are positive integers. And you could also include 0. So 0 would be included in this. 0, 1, 2, 3. All right, so you need to be able to identify the exponent. Here, 4, 2, and 1. The fact that it's a polynomial because each of these are positive whole numbers or a degree of 0 here. And if you look at this polynomial, there are actually 4 terms here. This is a term, okay, 3x to the 4th. This is a term, 2x squared. This is a term, negative x. And then this would also be a term. So there are 4 terms in this polynomial, and the terms are separated by either a plus or a subtraction. And the degrees. Now, the degree will be the highest power we have. So here, the power here, the exponent here is a 4. 2 and a 1, the degree is that highest exponent. Simple as that, 4. It actually has some meaning as far as, if you set it equal to 0, how many possible solutions there could be. There could be up to 4 solutions. And this also tells you the shape of the graph. So it does have some significance. All we need to do is be able to identify, not determine what it does, but just identify the degree, and it will be the highest exponent if you look at each term separately. All right, okay. And in this section, we're going to be adding polynomials. So we've done this before. We're going to be looking at like terms. Like terms are when the variables match exactly. Example, if I have 2xy squared plus 3xy squared plus 2xy. If you were to simplify this, the only ones that are like is this one here and this one here. The variables and their exponents match on those 2 terms. When the variables match, you will combine the coefficients, the numbers in front. When these groups match, you can combine the 2 and the 3, and you have 5 of those xy squareds. This one has to stay separate. It does not match exactly these other groups, so it will stay. That's as far as you can simplify it. You're done. So mainly in this section, we're going to be talking about this. We're going to be adding and subtracting polynomials, which means you need to combine similar terms or like terms. That's kind of what we'll be doing. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at this. The homework, or the notes that we passed out earlier. We may not mess with these fraction ones, but you could probably do that on your calculator. So let's look at this number 3. There is a plus sign in between. If there's a plus sign in between your parentheses, you can drop the parentheses. You don't need it. So we have a minus 7x cubed. We have our plus, and you can only just drop them if there's a plus sign. Okay. Looking at this right here, all we need to do now is look for like terms. I actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 terms here. Which ones match variables? Well, this one matches with this one. They're both an x cubed. So I'm going to combine those. 9 and a negative 7, when I add those together, I get 2 x cubes. So I combine the 9 and the negative 7 and got 2. Notice it's not x to the 6th. We only add exponents when you're multiplying the bases. We're not multiplying, we're adding bases. So you don't do anything with the exponent. So kind of watch that. So done. I've got 5, well, our next order, we have a 3. Let's look at the negative 4x squared next. We'll go in decreasing power or decreasing exponents. I don't have any other x squareds, which means it has to stay by itself. So we took care of that one. The next term in our order of decreasing power is 5x. There are no other x to the first, so that one is just going to have to stay by itself. I can't combine it with anything. Next, we have our constants. Last, we have the constants. You can combine those. Negative 5, or excuse me, I gave the answer. Negative 8 plus 3 is a negative 5. And that's your answer. Rather than having the 6 terms, my answer has 4 because I was able to simplify it. I have the degree is a 3. It's the highest exponent is a degree of 3. The coefficients are 2, negative 4, 5, and a negative 5. Those are your coefficients. This is also called the constant, negative 5. It doesn't change. No matter what you put in for x, it'll be a constant. What I'm mainly interested in is, can you go from here to here? All right, that's kind of what we're after. Not really wanting to deal with the fractions. Let's look at number 5 here. Because number 4, it's done the same way, and you have a calculator that will add your fractions for you. So let's look at number 5. On number 5, you have a plus sign in between. So I'm going to drop the parentheses and combine similar terms. So 6y cubed plus 4y plus 9 minus 5y minus 2 cubed. Let's start with the highest power. We'll go in decreasing order of power. So we'll start with the highest. 6y cubed, this variable matches this one right here. So I'm going to combine those because they're both a y cubed. 6 and a negative 2 is 4y cubed. 6 plus a negative 2. That takes care of those. Looking at we don't have any y squareds, but we do have a y to the first. These two match. 4y and a minus 5y. When I combine those, I get a negative 1y, or just a negative y. We're not going to put the 1 in there. It's not necessary. Okay, now let's see. That takes care of those. I like to cross them off so I know I've taken care of them. Then we have the plus 9. Obviously, there's nothing left to combine it with, so it's plus 9. So our polynomial only has 3 terms in it. It's called a trinomial. You don't have to remember that. The degree is 3. And the reason the degree is 3 is that's the highest exponent on that first group. The coefficients, excuse me, we have the coefficients are 4, -1, and 9. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and look at another one. Let's go ahead and do number 6, just in case some people are a little confused still. All right, because it's a plus sign, I can just drop the parentheses and start combining similar terms. Now, in the next section, we're going to put a subtraction, which changes things. So I've got a 7x to the 5th minus 10x cubed minus x squared plus 6 plus 8x. I'm going to rewrite it without the parentheses. Let's start with our highest power. Our highest exponent is a 5. So I'm going to look for any other x to the 5ths. No other x to the 5ths. So it's got to stay by itself. The next power is x to the 4th. That's right here. There are no other x to the 4ths. So it's got to stay by itself. Cannot combine the coefficients in front. X cubed. Wow. There's only this x cubed. There are no others. So it will stay by itself. X squared. Oh, great. We have 2 of them. -1x squared and a positive 4x squared. So the -1x squared and the 4x squared, when I add those coefficients in front, I get 3. -1 and 4 is a plus 3x squared. Notice I'm not adding exponents. They stay the same. It's only when you're multiplying or dividing or a power to a power that they'll change. Okay, next in line, we have just an x to the 1st. There's only that one. And then we have these constants. We have a 6 and a -1, which is 5. Well, it didn't simplify it much, but it did a little bit. Not much, though. So that's your answer. You cannot go any further. It would be kind of a nightmare to type into Pearson, but you guys can do it. Okay. All right. Let's get ready for subtraction rather than addition. In order to do subtraction, you need to know how to take the opposite. So whenever you have a negative outside of a parentheses, it means you'll take the opposite of everything inside. So to drop the parentheses, this is a positive inside. Okay, it's inside without that. Inside, it's a positive 7. So the opposite of that is a -7x cubed minus 3x, opposite, plus 2. And you're done. That's the opposite. Just change their signs. Let's look at the other one. Let's take the opposite of what's inside the parentheses. A negative outside means take the opposite of what's inside. So this will become a positive a to the 6th, a positive 8a cubed, and a negative minus 2a. Okay, and that's your answer. That's all you can do. There's nothing, there's no like terms. You've got a 6th power, a 3 power, and a 1 power. You cannot combine those coefficients in front of those. All right, let's turn it over and see what we've got. All right, so now we're going to start subtracting. Notice that in between the 2 parentheses is a subtraction sign, not an addition sign. Because it's a subtraction sign, what we're going to do is in front of this one is nothing. Okay, we're going to change this. We're going to get rid of this by putting it through here. Okay, so this is a positive. Okay, and then we're going to change the sign on everything on the inside. Okay, when you do this, you'll have to distribute this through. So we'll have a positive 9b squared subtract 6. And now it's just like what we did with the other ones. So when you have a subtraction, you can change it to addition, and then you distribute that through. So you change all the signs inside. Okay. Now finishing, this is a b squared and a b squared. That's our highest power. They match. So when you add those together, you get 21b squared. 5 and a minus 6 is a minus 1. And there's your answer. Okay. What we're going to do is, rather than mess with these, we're going to go ahead and set it up just so that we can practice changing that to addition and then changing the signs that follow inside. So let's look at this. There's not a negative in front, so this one stays. Because we've already added a lot of fractions, so we're mainly interested in combining like terms, not how to add fractions. Okay, what I'm going to do is change this to a plus so that we can drop the parentheses. But you need to distribute that. You need to take the opposite of what's inside. So you'll have a negative 1/3 x cubed minus 1/3 x, positive to a negative, plus 7/8. Okay. So again, we changed that. And then we put this through and made it the opposite. So it's the exact same thing as if I took 5 subtract 7. Remember that at the very beginning, we go plus, we make it a plus, and then we change the sign on what follows. The thing is, when we change it to a plus, what follows is more than just one term. So you take the opposite of that one, opposite of that one, opposite of that one. And then you look and you combine your similar terms. Okay. Oh, there's not a lot, but that's okay. We'll just go ahead and go on to number 11. Now you can always stop the video and let me see if I can move this over. You can always stop the video and see if you get the right answer and then start it again. All right, but on this one, there's not a negative in front of this parentheses, which means I can just drop the parentheses. There's nothing out there. 4.3 minus 0.6t plus 2.7. I'm going to change this to a plus and change each of these signs that follow. So this will become a negative 1.5 t squared. Because it's positive on the inside, it becomes a negative when you do this. This will become a minus 3.8 t, and that'll become a positive 9.3. So you change the signs on what follows when you change that to addition. Now let's go ahead and combine our similar terms. Here's a t squared and a t squared. 4.3 plus a negative 1.5 is 2.8 t squared, positive because the bigger one is positive. Okay, that takes care of these two. I've got a negative 0.06 t and a negative 3.8 t, and that will give me a minus 4.4 t when I combine those two coefficients. Again, I'm not adding exponents, okay? I'm just adding coefficients in front. Only time you add exponents is when you're multiplying, and we're not doing that. Then I have my little constants here, 2.7 and 9.3. And when I combine those, I get plus 12. 2.7 and a 9.3. And there's your answer. All right, let's do another subtraction, okay? Let's just practice one more. Okay, here there's nothing in front of this parentheses, okay, and we will put something there here in the next section. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and draw this little line so we don't mix up. So here we've got 8x cubed minus 3x squared minus 11x minus 6. I just dropped the parentheses. Now, I'm going to change this to a plus, and I will then take the opposite of what follows in the parentheses. So let's see, that'll become, I made it a plus right there. It's not really underneath it, but it does become a plus. Negative 5x cubed minus x squared plus 17x plus 4. And now you look for common like terms and combine the coefficients in front. So looking at this, we have an exponent of x cubed and x cubed. They are like terms. 8 and a negative 5 is 3x cubed. When I combine those coefficients, the numbers in front, x squared is next. I've got a negative 3x squared and a negative 1x squared will be a minus 4x squared. So remember, there's not a number there, it's a 1. So that takes care of that. Looking at the x's, negative 11x to the first and a 17x to the first gives you plus 6x to the first. Takes care of those. Minus 6 and a plus 4, okay, those constants there, minus 2. And you have it in decreasing power, 3 to 1. And the degree of this is a 3. It's the highest power on that first term, okay, which is the highest power. All right, so there's your subtraction. So now we've done addition and subtraction. It's not really too bad. What we're going to look at now is learning how to evaluate these, and just maybe some hints on how to keep from making a mistake. Especially in this case, we're not going to be putting in a negative, but if you do substitute in a negative, you need to make sure you have parentheses around it. But in this case, we'll be substituting in a positive. I might go ahead and use parentheses just so that you know. But they want you to evaluate if x is 5. That means make all the x's a 5. So in this case, I'll just go ahead and use parentheses. I put the squared on the outside. If that had happened to be a negative 5, you have to have the parentheses around it in your calculator, or it'll give you negative 25 instead of a positive 25. So then you have minus 6 times 5, parentheses mean times, plus 9. So if you were to type this in, it'll do the PEMDAS for you. If not, we've got 5 squared is 25, 5 times 5, minus 30, plus 9. So we'll do addition and subtraction from left to right. 25 subtract 30 is a -5 plus 9 is 4. So that is a -5, and then that gives you a +4 for your answer. Okay, pretty easy. All right, let's try the next one. I don't know, I may use my calculator on the next one. We're going to take a -5, that's what this is, times 5 cubed plus 2 times 5 squared minus 4 times 5. Remember, there's a difference between a subtraction and a negative. This is going to be a negative on the calculator because it's not between two numbers. That's a subtraction, that's a negative. Plus 3. Okay, so in doing this, let me move that out of the way. 5 cubed is 125. 125 times 5 is what, 625? Yeah, -625 plus 2 times 25. 2 times 25 is 50. Minus 4 times 5 is 20. Plus 3. So we have a -625 plus 50 minus 20 plus 3. Gives us a -592. As long as I punch that into my calculator right, which I think I did. All right, so just kind of watch when you substitute in, and you guys, and if you are substituting in a negative, you have an even power, you have to have parentheses around that and put the power on the outside. And also make sure that you realize there's a difference between a subtraction symbol on your calculator and a negative. That's a negative because it's not between two numbers. So make sure you use the right symbol. It'll probably give you an error message if you don't. Okay. Oh, here we're going to substitute in a negative, last two. Yay. So we're going to be putting in a -3 for the x's. So parentheses means multiply. So 8 times a -3 is a -24. So that gives you a -24, subtract 4 is a -28. Okay. All right. Or plus a -4 if you want to. 24, -24 plus a -4 is a -28. Okay, let's go ahead and substitute our -3 in for the next one. -3 times a -3 plus, you have to have the parentheses around it, plus 6. Awesome. So we've got -3 times a -3 is 9. This squared, -3 squared is a +9 plus 6. So this gives you 18. Then you add the 6 into that answer and you come up with 24 as the answer. All right. Well, I hope that kind of makes some sense. We've already done a little bit of this earlier in the year, so that's it for this one. And I'll try to get this assignment opened as well as maybe get the video for the last one. All right, well, good luck and let me know if you have any questions and I will help you out. Thank you. Bye.